You know, when someone starts tweeting for a week that he's going to show up on the bench, is ready to take on whoever, and doesn't show up, well, that's just wrong. Senator Bonnie Khalwale, shame on you for not showing up. In the meantime, the Grand Mullah's here. The Grand Mullah takes no prisoners. His Twitter handle is at Ahmednasir Law. Mine is at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. If you still feel like showing up, we're still here for the next hour. Grand Mullah.
Thank you very much.
Are people that scared of you?
No. I think Khalwale will have been, his record will have been shown to Kenyans that he's just too much talk and no action. And I think when he's supposed to come to a place like this so that he can defend some of the things he do,
yeah.
I mean, he can't. He's just good in dancing during weekends.
And he was abusing you the last couple of weeks. Abusing you on Twitter.
No, but why? We expected him to come here so that we have exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
We interrogate his views on some of the things like devolution, the powers of the Senate, all these things. But I think if you invite him for a dance this weekend, he will make a good dance.
You know, it's ridiculous. And you know, he's so outspoken out there. So what is his problem? Why wouldn't he show, especially after announcing it?
He's not outspoken. He's noisy. You know, I mean, these are guys who make noise.
Yeah.
Whether he was in Parliament or in the Senate. I mean, he's a noisemaker. I mean, he's not a man known for not just profound ideas, but even mild ideas. But let's give him a credit. Good dancer.
Maybe he can come here and dance tonight, but I doubt it.
He will steal the show.
Like Tony Kashoka. You enjoyed that show yesterday, didn't you?
Absolutely. I think Tony was not fair to the professor. I mean, Tony is a bulldog. So, and the prof was a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
very,
academic.
Yes, academic. Guided also. Yes.
Let's go to Hague, ICC. The president came back today. Tumultuous welcome. What do you think of the proceedings at the ICC?
You know, people think that when some of us talk about The Hague, you know, we support either the president or we are opposed to. But The Hague, I mean, the court is a disaster. I mean, we are normally very critical of courts in the third world, like, you know, the justice system of a third world country like Kenya. We are very critical that, you know, it's inefficient, it's not independent. Yeah. But when you see The Hague, I mean, it's a new ball game. It's even worse than a third world, you know, because nobody really, for example, understood why the court wanted the president to attend for, you know, a status conference, you know, some very informal, you know, meeting on how the case will be had. I mean, they're really personalizing. I mean, I've said many times, and I wrote this, that this is really a court that belongs to Europe. You know, the EU. The EU funded it, the EU formed it, the EU won. I'm sure some Kenyans will say, you know, we are signatories to the ICC, we are signatories to the Rome Statute. We sign these things when we really don't know what we are doing. It's part of the process. You know, every time there's an international convention, the foreign ministry, you know, just rushes and signs this. But the ICC really doesn't serve any purpose. I mean, I'm told that it has a funding problem because countries like Britain, France, and even the Scandinavian countries want to restrict or has asked the prosecutor to show how the money has been spent and why they should fund. So one of the main reasons why they are really holding the two cases of the president and the vice president is for funding purposes.
Because out in 10, whatever, how many years they've been around, only one conviction. One conviction.
But you know, those convictions, I mean, if you arrest, for example, someone from Somalia or Congo, you know, these countries where the rule of law has collapsed. I mean, he can't afford a lawyer, he can't contest the case. You will convict him. I mean, it's not due process. But when you bring a case against, you know, someone like a president or a deputy president who can afford the service of good lawyers, who can afford the service of, you know, forensic investigators, all these things, I mean, the court has little chance of obtaining any conviction.
You think the court was shocked and surprised by a country called Kenya? Were they surprised by how much these people can fight for their lives, if you will?
I think they underestimated. I mean, they thought, you know, just because they have been trying guys from Congo and Rwanda, I mean, they thought, you know, it will be the same kind of cases. I mean, but if you face the court properly, like the president and the vice president have done, or even the former police commissioner and Francis Badora, you will find that because they do very shoddy job in terms of investigation, because they don't see the process through, I mean, the rate of conviction actually is very small. I don't see this court convicting anybody who robustly engages that process.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it necessary for the president to be there?
No. Of course it was not. I mean, I think the court is sort of personalizing. If the prosecutor makes, such an application, I will understand, because the prosecutor wants to milk the process. But the court, should really be independent. I mean, it should be more rational. It should be more circumspect. And that's why, of course, one of the judges dissented, but two of the judges, said that the president should come. The president should go to what end? What was the end? What was the purpose? Just to say that, we had one head of state coming.
Correct.
I mean,
for the record.
That doesn't make
to
sense.
save face.
I think the court has really lost face. I mean, by insisting that the president should come, and when he came, there was nothing. I mean, he just sat there, listened to the submissions of the parties, then went back. I mean, the court should really protect its stature,
Is there anything left in this case? Is it all but finished?
But this case was dead right from the beginning, We have said, some of us, that when you don't investigate a case of this nature, a case of this magnitude, and you rely on these local NGOs who get funding from, these foundations from the West, I mean, you have built your case on sand. The moment someone interrogates it, it will give way. And that's precisely what happened. These cases are collapsing because of bogus investigation.
Yeah,
yes.
Shoddy. And even the other day, Ocampo was quoted as saying, the case is getting very shaky now.
But Ocampo knew it was, even when he was planting the seed, he knew it was infertile. Yes. He knew it will not flourish.
Yeah.
Yes.
You think they would, if they threw out the cases, which is what seems likely now, would they come back and pick up 6 more, 10 more?
No. You see, but the more these cases remain in the court, the more the court's integrity gets damaged. I mean, even for example, if when Ocampo left the scene, if Bensouda, said that, these cases I've inherited from this man, I want to have an independent review, and then either dropped some or, do a reinvestigation, she will have saved the face. But now the more they insist, the more they hold these dead bodies, the more the decomposition, gets worsened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Goodness. The president handing over power under Section 147.3, which we all know now. We've all memorized 147.3. Was that a good move? Because Professor Makabutua last night said, that was just theatrics.
No. I mean, there are two sides of that going. I mean, politically, it was a good move. I mean, to show that the president can trust his deputy president, or to prepare the deputy president, for this kind of office. It was a good political move. But legally, I agree with Professor Makau. There was nothing really. I mean, every time the president goes, the deputy president acts. But I think they were doing it for other purposes than legal. I mean, they were doing it out of, politics. I mean, it put the president on a good platform. I mean, that, he says, I'm going, I want to hand over power for, delegate powers to the deputy president. The deputy president acted as the president for 3 days, and the country moved on.
Correct. Correct. Yes. What if this was a precursor? Let me go out on a limb and ask, what if the president only wants one term? What if he gets tired by 2017 and says, you know what, we're in delay?
This is not an office people get tired.
Even this man, who
yes, even someone like Uhuru will not get tired of this office. I'm sure he will want a second term. But I think the point I saw this hand of power for 3 days is, I think it shows, the bond between the president and the deputy president. It's so strong. And I think both of them sent a strong signal, even to the lieutenants, that, this is a special bond between the president and the deputy president. And once his term is over, I mean, this is the way we want to go.
Which is a bold move, huh?
Bold. I mean, very, 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 very bold.
In Africa, anyway.
No, in time, I mean, South Africa, it was common,
Mandela did,
yes.
A few times.
But I think what makes it interesting is the publicity they subjected it. That it was well choreographed. I mean, it was well stage managed, they did it very well. They called the two houses a joint session. People thought the president would throw a bombshell.
But it was a bombshell in a way.
Yes.
The way he did it.
But also in a country like even us, which we are not used to the president, saying that, I'm handing over power when I'm going out. I mean, it was good. It demystified the president in a unique way. Yes.
And then the so-called opposition, which had so-called wanted to boycott the session.
But I think, that process did the most damage to CORD, I mean, it shows the insignificance of CORD in the power politics of this country. I mean, such a momentous occasion occurred. They thought they will boycott. Nobody noticed. The president stole the limelight. The deputy president stole the limelight. And life continued.
Yeah.
And I think that's why probably Raila went to give a lecture at Yale.
At Yale.
Yes.
And maybe that's why Khalwale didn't show up.
No, I think the process, deflated them. I mean, it removed the rug under their feet.
Yeah.
Of course, Khalwale is one of the minnows. He's not main actors in even in Western Kenya.
Right.
Yes. So,
and I always wondered. He's in UDF, right? Musalia's party.
No, we can't know where he is. He used to be in UDF.
Yep.
I think he joined CORD. I wouldn't be surprised if he's attending a function tonight for his defection to a new party.
Dancing.
Seriously. I mean,
yeah.
You can't predict the average Kenyan politician,
No.
Yes.
No.
When he is invited for a function like this, he may be forming a new party.
And the Senate, speaking of arms of God, the Senate, you have been very vocal about the Senate in your articles in the weekend paper. Very vocal.
No,
calling people like Murkomen test tube politicians.
No, but the Senate, the Senate has two groups. There is what I call the wise men or the elder statesmen. People like Yusuf Haji, people like Amos Wako, Gigi, very elderly people who knows how politics is played. Then there are this. I'm using the word madmen, but figuratively. Then there are the madmen. These guys who make noise. These guys who are in every impeachment. These guys who want to assume powers they don't have. But it is these noisemakers, who really control the Senate, and they do the most damage to that institution, But and I've said many times, the elder statesmen of the Senate, should really tell these young boys to shut up. Yes.
And they keep controlling this Senate. I mean, is it that they're trying to maintain or retain their relevancy? Because we don't really know what the Senate does, other than impeach governors.
No, according to the Constitution, the Senate has one function, and that is during the budget appropriation, they should sit with the House and ensure that the devolved units or county governments get their rightful share. That's their function. Secondly, their other function is they can impeach the president. That's the Constitution. Of course, now they can also impeach governors. But I have said many times, when you look at the powers or the jurisdiction of the Senate as provided by law, you can't justify it to sit the way the House is sitting. It should sit like twice a year or 3 times maximum, because once they do the appropriation for the county governments, they should close shop.
Maybe that's why they're always traveling around the world.
Not traveling, that's why they are always having rallies, weekends, dance.
Those test tube babies you refer to.
Absolutely.
Murkomen is another. Senator Kipchumba Murkomen.
He's my good friend, by the way.
But you abuse each other. So.
No. I tell guys that we don't abuse one another. We exchange ideas on Twitter. Twitter is a very unique forum.
Yeah.
Where people can exchange ideas, where people can, do all kind of interrogation.
Yes.
So, but he's a young man in terms of politics, and he needs guidance. Yes.
Maybe he's with the right people.
No. There's one in the House of Lords during, I think, the Second World War. One young man came to and gave a very vocal speech against that prime minister. Then he said, this young man, he gave a very good speech, and I'm sure he will go very far in politics, but in the wrong direction. So there are many Kenyan politicians who will go very far,
yes,
but in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this country doesn't need that right now. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. I mean, we're at that point where we need to take off. Everything is in place.
Yes, we spend too much time in futile politics, useless politics, the politics of constant agitation, look at this country. I mean, this is a country without an effective position, And instead of the opposition, trying to ensure that the government is held to account on all spheres everywhere.
Yeah.
Instead of, for example, ensuring that the government becomes a government that abides by the law, we have this thing of referendum, we have this thing of changing the constitution. I mean, the narrative should be how to ensure that we have a good government and a strong opposition. But they don't want it there because they want to, these rallies, these impeachments, this bringing down people. Wrong kind of politics.
You mentioned referendum. I mean, I hardly hear talk of it anymore. Is it over? Is it dead and buried?
Almost dead, but I mean, it still has some, I think, few months to run. But I think, the main sponsors of this can see that the country, is not interested in that kind of politics, the kind of constant agitation. If you don't want to if you don't get your way, you change the rules. I mean, that's not politics, that's thuggery.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, there is no opposition now. I mean, what opposition is there? First of all, Kalonzo Musyoka. What happened to Kalonzo Musyoka? Is he around?
I don't know. What have you had?
I mean, he's been quiet as a church mouse.
No, but I mean,
except the comedians, they imitate him a lot. But
in Kenya, once you are not in Parliament or Senate, it is very difficult to be relevant. You must be like Raila to be relevant, and Raila, almost changed the narrative. He goes to America, he stays there, he makes the news. Now he has come with this referendum. I mean, you can only have one guy like that in a country. Someone who will constantly be relevant. But other people like maybe Kalonzo, Wetangula, I mean, they have to play second fiddle. Yes, they become the choir.
And that's a tough one, huh?
Very tough.
I mean, so what do they do? What does this country need to keep checks and balances to the ruling party?
No, we need a strong, of course. We need a strong opposition. We need a strong judiciary, robust judiciary.
Yeah.
And civil society is very important. Although, unfortunately, civil society in this country either, automatically becomes anti-government or pro-government. But a strong civil society is indispensable in a country like this.
Yeah.
Just like a strong judiciary is critical for this country.
Is the judiciary strong?
Yes. The judiciary is doing very well.
Lots of challenges.
Yes, of course they are there because they are part of the Kenyan society. The same problems we have with the Kenyan society you will have in the judiciary.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that the judiciary has men and women who really want to make change, who really want to, implement the constitution, who want to protect the rights of Kenya, who want to have a government that abides by the law, whether it is the Senate, whether it is, Parliament, whether it is the president. If they transgress or if they break the law, I mean, the judiciary will always address those issues.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of our judiciary.
But, and I don't know if it's up to the DPP or who it's up to, but there's a lot of corruption, and we'll talk about this after the break. Corruption at every level. Devolution is causing corruption at an unimaginable level. Until an arrest is made, we're going nowhere.
No, we make arrests once in a while, but what we need is a system that ensures that when you arrest, you prosecute within a certain time frame, and either you get a conviction or an acquittal. We just don't want high-profile arrests. Then nothing happens. They go to court, they get some injunction, they delay the process.
Yeah.
In many countries, what they do is after there is arrest, you are taken to court, then the prosecutor will ensure that he finishes the case within those months. Yes. We need a system to ensure that after arrest, this prosecution, there is either conviction or acquittal. Yes.
I want to take a break, come back, talk about Nairobi Law Monthly this month. On the cover, axis of corruption, evil,
impunity,
all that.
Impunity.
Axis of impunity. And you have some pictures there. The speaker and some other people.
Yes.
You take no prisoners.
No, we report the way it is, the way we see it.
Without fear or favor.
Absolutely.
That's why you're the Grand Mullah. And that's why the bullfighter never showed up. His microphone's still here. We're still waiting for him. Dr. Khalwale, where are you? Dancing?
Absolutely. I have no doubt. He's on the floor.
at Ahmednasir Abdullahi, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. Keep tweeting. We're going to read your tweets as well. Find out what you think of the absence of the man who calls himself a bullfighter. Couldn't even show up for a duel with the Grand Mullah. JKL will be back in a moment.